We have really walked a long journey. 5 years. We had to survive and make sure that at least all of us can still look at each other and laugh with all the differences in terms of our ideological standing, political persuasions, you know, all the diversities that we have, and we are still here. And I know that this House, members know how big this Parliament is. Others have been able to ensure that they go to -2. There are members of the -2 club. -2 colleagues, I'm sure they hear me very well. And really, next time in the 6th Parliament, I'll give the direction where -2 is in this Parliament. We're now coming to the last item on the order paper, but before, Madam Speaker, I give you the chance, I must congratulate all the members who in these past 5 years developed themselves academically and achieved. And I would like to say to all of you, you have been good students. Well done. And those of you who will be going to other areas of your deployment, we want to wish you good as you go. And those that are coming back, be good next time, because you may have a speaker that really won't do what Madam Speaker did, to be very patient all the time with all of you. Madam Speaker, I give you that platform to say farewell to this House, which you have led for the past 5 years.
The -2 club. I see some very bright faces across the room. I shall say no more. Honorable members, sadly, as the day started, we received the news about the loss of one of us, of a child that is exactly the same age as our democracy, 25 years, taking her own life. Like everybody else who's said words about this occurrence, it's very, very sad. And it's been difficult for the Chief Whip because he's hardly done away with the pain of losing his mother, and now he has lost a child. But with all of these occasions, you become stronger. And so, Chief Whip, ibambe mfowethu, you can only be stronger because it hasn't killed you yourself. As a parent myself, who has a child that suffers in a particular way, I know that one way or another, Chief Whip has also been a fellow traveler, where we traverse the road of trying to keep the balance in a family and to look after your children and make sure they continue to survive while you carry on with your own life also. So it's one of those things, and we wish our Chief Whip very well under these circumstances, as we have come to the end of an eventful and robust 5th Parliament, which he was part of. Honorable members, we've had highs, we also have had lows. But the point is we have survived. We have held our hands because we also had to work together on behalf of our people. So it didn't matter where we came from, but we were all here at the behest of our people out there who expect collectively that we will deliver to our country. Over the course of our term, we have marked a number of seminal milestones. Just recently, we did celebrate 20 years of our Constitution, and alongside the celebration of the 20 years, we're also celebrating the 20 years of the second half of Parliament, the NCOP. And it is in the course of that year that our colleagues in the NCOP came up with an understanding that maybe we will do better for South Africa if we relook at the arrangements of our Parliament in terms of the role of the two houses. In that, when we formed the NCOP 20 years ago, or a little more than 20 years now, we made it do the same things in terms of passing laws as we do in this House, the National Assembly. And the attention they paid to this matter in looking at the NCOP has come up with some proposals I think that the sixth Parliament must continue to look into. To summarize it, their view was where Section 75 issues that are before Parliament are concerned, why do we make the second house go all over in looking at those bills? Exactly the same ground that we cover in this house, when in fact it's a house we created specifically for purposes of looking at provincial issues, as well as municipal level issues and challenges that in fact we have been faced with, and to a point where from time to time the NCOP has to go and intervene in provinces through certain sections of the Constitution and the law in terms of Section 100 and 139 and so on. So the proposal in a nutshell is the NCOP must not necessarily have to spend as much time on Section 75 matters as it does on Section 76 matters, because Section 76 are the issues that we created the NCOP to focus on. That we should make sure in that house we have very, very skilled people who can assist us in being more seized on an ongoing basis on issues that face provinces and communities in the municipalities. So in this term, we've had the opportunity to take another look at our democracy. Honorable members, this is not a day for very serious speeches, but being a person who hardly speaks in this house, precisely because I'm Speaker, you will allow me to say what I need to say. We have, of course, prepared the 5th Parliamentary Legacy Report, which we will hand over to the 6th Parliament. We did, I'm told, pass well over 100 laws in this term. I'm surprised because, I mean, as time goes, we no longer have those many laws to pass like we did 25 years ago. But we did, in any case, pass these laws. And as time went, Parliament grew by robustness. And we did become more and more activist and assertive, and some of that showed up when we were forming certain structures and we were doing it through public participation, and we did things very openly, like when we were looking and recruiting for a public protector and the SABC board. On issues of oversight, we are told that we posed over 10,000 questions to the executive in the course of this term. Some of them were written, others were questions which were posed right here in this house. We did form the Parliamentary Budget Office, which we believe is a very welcome addition to Parliament. And I remember that the former Honorable Minister of Finance, Nhlanhla Nene, was a chairperson of the Finance Portfolio Committee when it was formed. And when he was minister, we reminded him, when we were talking to him about the fact that the budget of Parliament is inadequate. And one of the structures that we pointed out were suffering and had not been allocated the resources was actually the Parliamentary Budget Office. It's a very important structure, and I think it was correct that it should not report to the Secretary to Parliament, and the law says that. We know that that issue has not quite settled, very, very firmly in the minds of some of the senior management, but we believe it's the correct thing to do. But you see, in the way we formed it, remember we said it must service only 4 committees. We have to strengthen it so that other portfolio committees can also be serviced by this very important structure. We are still busy trying to replace the director of the Parliamentary Budget Office. We would like to say that we hope the 6th Parliament will continue to look at the issues that were left by the late Honorable Kada Asmal in terms of the institutions supporting democracy. Because we did start off in 2014 hoping that we would deal with those recommendations, but we didn't finish that because you know how it is with politics. It takes forever to convince one another. The 5th Parliament concluded the task of reviewing the rules. But there's 1 or 2 areas that, in my view, need revisiting. Not so much overalls as it is the makarapas. You see, people on this side of the house are too gentle. Honorable members, this term, the Assembly also completed a review of the powers, privileges, and immunities of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. Also, the Money Bills Amendment Procedure and Related Matters Act. These amendments were necessary to clarify certain provisions. As the chairperson of the Programming Committee, let me commend the whips and parties for their cooperation. Almost all decisions taken in the Programming Committee every Thursday morning were taken by consensus. So we were not always fighting. What about the IFP? All whips that were participating in the programming committee. The sixth parliament should examine how more matters can be debated, especially in terms of committee reports and motions. And also, remember a proposal we agreed on, that is the mini plenaries, so that we can have more debates that are not necessarily about decision making, but just to be able to share ideas and debate on things without necessarily having to vote on them. Those mini plenaries must be taken forward as an important idea. On transparency and ethics, it's a matter that came up at the Speakers Forum that we believe the Sixth Parliament must take forward. Political parties and members must maintain the highest ethical standards. For us, one of the high points for the Assembly this term was the adoption of legislation to regulate funding for political parties. Transparency is one way in which we can build public confidence in the political system. During this term, the Speakers Forum, established to promote cooperation and best practices across the legislative sector, has carried forward a variety of important projects. This has included the development of standards for oversight and public participation. The Forum has also proposed legislation intended to further capacitate the sector, including amendments to the Financial Management of Parliament and Provincial Legislatures Act. And on the basis of this act, we formed the Standing Committee to ensure that they keep an eye on how Parliament itself is exemplary in how it uses the money sourced from the fiscus. Honorable members, on the international front, Parliament has played a leading role in the IPU, Commonwealth Parliamentary Association, the SADC Parliamentary Forum, which matter is now on the agenda of the SADC, the executive, so that the Parliamentary Forum can transform to a regional parliament. We did our international work. I'm sure many honorable members went to conferences abroad based on the portfolio committees in which they participated. I will highlight the visit to Cuba. I see Honorable Singh is nodding his head, and I'm sure Honorable Steenhuisen, Honorable Chief Whip, if he was here, Deputy Chief Whip, Honorable Shibambu, who's not here right now. We did visit Cuba. Yes, Honorable Waters and I spent many times at the IPU, but I'm now talking about Cuba. Suffice to say, there's a lot for us to learn from the way they are so exemplary, especially in two respects: their education system and their health system. They have a near zero illiteracy rate. And their health system is the envy of many so-called developed countries. And of course, they help us as South Africa in terms of medical students who are studying there, who have proposed to us that this 1 year, you know, they study for 5 years and they spend the last year at home. they are asking that we should leave them in Cuba for that 1 year as well. Because when they come back to South Africa, they experience many difficulties, Honorable Minister of Health, in terms of being absorbed into the system back in South Africa. I also believe, yes, you agree, Honorable Singh, you know. I believe the Chief Whips also had a very fruitful visit to Ghana and the United Kingdom, and I was telling Honorable Stian Hazen, I listened to their report, which was debated by the House a few days ago. To come to the people who have helped us, I want to say to the management of Parliament, it is with your help that Parliament has been getting clean audits year after year. We have a long way to go in terms of adequate resources for us to do our work. But we know that what money we get from the fiscus, we use very well. Honorable members, whatever other challenges of Parliament, we continue to challenge them. We challenge the challenges. So when we come back on the 6th, in the 6th Parliament, soon after the 8th of May, we should continue to deal with those issues. The will of our people will, of course, be expressed on the 8th of May. And let's have a peaceful and successful elections. We wish those that are in the lists of their various parties good luck. We thank those members that are not returning for their service, and we wish you well in your future endeavors, honorable members that don't come back. And let me thank all those who have enabled us to serve our people. First on the agenda is my dear husband. And my family and our families, all of us, the Deputy Speaker and presiding officers, the President, the ministers and deputy ministers, and a special word of appreciation to my office staff who endeavored to make life easier at all times. Honorable Minister of Mineral Resources, order. It has been a privilege and an honor to lead our Parliament and to serve our people. I thank you very much, honorable members, for our service collectively to our people. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Speaker. One of those things that you led with, Honorable Speaker, with your colleagues in the Speakers Forum was the commissioning of the high-level panel report, which has continued to be made reference in this House, and I'm sure it's one of those issues that in your legacy report you will leave to the 6th Parliament. Other members did not understand why Honorable Waters wanted the Speaker to recognize the IPU meeting where they were together, because that's the period when he knelt down in the mountain of the Alps and said, "Will you?" That's the secret. Honorable Dadle.